All right.
Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the Committee on Finance. At this time, we ask you please silence all cell phones and electronic devices to minimize disruption throughout the hearing. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Thank you, Sergeant. Okay, good morning. Welcome to today's Finance Committee meeting. I'm Councilmember Brannan. I chair the Committee on Finance. We've been joined this morning by Council Members Salam, Osei, Hudson, Hanks, Cart, Lewis, Farias, Powers, Moya on Zoom, and I think Sanchez is joining us on Zoom shortly. Today the committee will be voting on 5 items: Resolution 412, Resolution 421, a property tax preconsidered resolution, property tax exemption resolution, a revenue budget mod, and a transparency resolution. Start with Resolution 412, sponsored by Councilmember Nurse. Sets the date, time, and place for a public hearing to consider a local law that would establish the Cypress Hills Fulton Business Improvement District. Local law would be heard on June 20, 2024 at 10 a.m. right here in the City Hall Committee Room. Resolution 421, sponsored by Councilmember Wan, sets the date, time, and place for a public hearing to consider a local law that would rename the Court Street Queens Plaza bid into the Long Island Business Improvement District. Long Island City Business Improvement District. Expand the boundaries of the existing bid to include the properties generally along Northern Boulevard, Vernon Boulevard, and to the south and east sides of Sunnyside Yards. Would increase the total amounts authorized to be expended in the bid annually and for improvements, and it would amend the district charge assessment method. Local law would be heard right here, June 20th, 10 a.m. Here in the committee room. Next, the preconsidered resolution would set a discount percentage rate for each property tax payment. Pursuant to both the charter and the administrative code every year, the New York City Banking Commission recommends to the City Council interest rates for early payment and for non-payment of property taxes. For FY25, the Banking Commission recommends for early payment of real estate taxes a 0.5% discount. This resolution would adopt the Banking Commission's recommended rate. Next, the property tax exemption resolution is a new partial 40-year Article 11 for 4 buildings in Councilmember Hudson's district. As part of the application, units for all 4 buildings will be restricted to 50% AMI, and 30% of the units will be reserved for formerly homeless households. Improvements under HPD's Aging in Place initiative will be completed, as well as facade work and other structural physical needs. Next, the revenue budget modification would recognize $619 million in new revenues, implementing changes reflected in the April 24 financial plan. This revenue will add $619 million to pay for partial PEG restorations in the Department of Cultural Affairs, rental assistance, foster care payments, pupil transportation, the CUNY STEM program, and other various initiatives. Finally, the transparency resolution sets forth the new designation and changes in the designation of certain organizations that are receiving local aging and youth discretionary funding and funding pursuant to certain initiatives in the budget. As with all transparency resolutions, council members have to sign a disclosure form indicating whether or not a conflict exists with any of the groups on the attached list. If any council member has a potential conflict of interest with any of the organizations listed, they've got the opportunity to disclose the conflict at the time of their vote. As a reminder, please disclose any conflicts you may have with the proposed subcontractors used by organizations sponsored by discretionary funding. These disclosures must be made before the subcontractor can be approved. Disclosure forms may be completed and submitted prior to the vote on the transparency resolution and may be emailed to Everton Smith, who is also present in the chambers in the committee room today to answer your questions. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on these items? No? Okay, seeing none, I want to recognize we've been joined by Councilmember Williams and Sanchez. I'm now going to ask Billy Martin, the committee clerk, to call the roll.
Good morning, William Martin, Committee Clerk. Roll call vote, Committee on Finance. All items are coupled. Chair Brannan.
I vote aye.
Ayala. Moya.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Powers. Lewis. Brooks Powers. Brewer.
Aye.
Farias.
I vote aye.
Hanks.
Aye.
Hudson.
Permission to explain my vote?
Yes.
I'd like to speak briefly about LU 83, which will provide an Article 11 tax exemption for existing affordable housing properties in Clinton Hill, including the tri-block houses on Ashland Place and St. Felix Street and the green Claremont houses located at 80 Green Avenue. I'm proud that this project will maintain deep affordability for residents while simultaneously financing a significant rehabilitation of these properties. Specifically, 80 Green Avenue is a housing development for older adults who earn less than 50% of the area median income, many of whom are longtime Black and Latinx residents, and 58 units across both developments will be set aside for homeless tenants, 30% of the entire project. In a rapidly gentrifying area like Clinton Hill, where the area median income for white residents is $163,000 compared to $53,105 for Black residents, we need to build and preserve deeply affordable housing at low AMIs so those who built our communities can continue to reside and contribute to them. This project will ensure these units remain affordable for at least the next 40 years, if not longer, and will not displace a single resident. Simply put, we need these types of projects to preserve existing deeply affordable housing, especially for our older adults who live on fixed incomes. I'd also like to note that my team reviews Article 11 tax exemption proposals in our district a bit differently. We held multiple community meetings with residents to ensure they understood what the changes meant, how construction would impact them, and so they could have any questions answered. We then flyered the entire building of nearly 100 units with a packet of information in both English and Spanish on the proposed changes and contact information for the developer and our office should they have any further questions. This approach takes a bit more work, but I'm confident that this proposed tax exemption will yield exactly what the residents need and deserve. Aye on all. Thank you.
Thank you. Osei.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Thank you. Stevens. Williams. Juan. Salam.
I vote aye.
Carr.
Aye.
With a vote of 12 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, all items have been adopted by the committee.
Aye, can I vote?
Greetings, Councilmember Williams.
Aye, I vote aye.
Thank you. Vote is now 13 in the affirmative.
Yeah, you guys can go. Sorry, thanks.